And hello there, and welcome to Disney Movie Investigations. This is our Christmas bonus episode, which is on the movie Elf. And for those of you that have never seen these videos before, what we do is we take a deep dive into usually a Disney movie, and we take a look at its background, how it got made, as well as its legacy it left within the world of Disney. But today, this is the winner of our Christmas bonus poll, which was the movie Elf, which was chosen by you, the viewers of these videos. So thank you very much for everyone that voted. It was very close between the Elf and Jim Carrey's Dr. Seuss's Grinch. But yeah, hopefully we'll get to do that one soon too as well. So like I said, this week's video is going to be on Elf, which was released on November 7th, 2003. And it was directed by Jon Favreau. Those of you that don't recognize him, he is the executive producer behind The Mandalorian, as well he was the director of the first two Iron Man movies. And this movie was written by David Birnbaum, and it had a budget of $33 million, and it did a overwhelmingly successfully $223.3 million. But before we get into the nit and gritty of the movie itself, let's look at the production history. So David Birnbaum wrote Elf in 1993, and initially it was bought by the Motion Pictures Association studio, which was an independent studio, and they had either Jim Carrey or Chris Farley in mind for the title role of Buddy. David did not like that, so he kind of let the whole holding deal sit out and run out of time, and eventually the studio just passed on making Elf. But producers John Barry and Todd Cormanack talked to Vince Vaughn, and he actually recommended a relatively unknown in the world of directing. He had been in a few movies as an actor, but not as a director, and that was Jon Favreau, and he had only directed one movie at that point. And it was an independent movie called Made. So he was fairly unknown, and it was a huge risk to go with such an unknown on such a highly successful movie. And then Favreau was insistent that this be a Will Ferrell movie because the two had wanted to work together. And Will Ferrell was also fairly unknown. He'd only been known as Saturday Night Live, and he had done The Night at the Roxbury. But other than that, he wasn't a sure bet in terms of a comedy movie. And then filming for this movie took place in New York City, Vancouver, and Coquitlam, BC. And the key thing about this movie is that it was a huge star-making vehicle for both Jon Favreau and Will Ferrell. And both of them, this was released by New Line Cinema, and New Line Cinema was not well known for making huge blockbusters either. So it was kind of like everybody was taking a huge chance on this. And if it had failed, I don't know if we would be seeing Jon Favreau doing the movies he does today, or as well as I don't know if Will Ferrell will be in as many movies as he is today. So kind of everyone was like betting the farm on this one. So in terms of the cast, we obviously talked about Will Ferrell being Buddy the Elf. And then we have James Caan as Walter Hobbs. He's Buddy's father. And we have Zooey Deschanel as Jovie. And this is a little known fact that she wasn't actually the first choice. The New Line Cinema had offered the movie to Katie Holmes, and she had actually passed on the movie. So then they went with Zooey Deschanel. Mary Steenburgen is Emily Hobbs, who is the stepmother to Buddy. And then we have Bob Newhart as Papa Elf and Ed Asner as Santa Claus. So let's take a look at the plot. Buddy was a baby in an orphanage, and he accidentally got stuck in Santa's sack. He kind of was a stowaway, and he got dropped off at the North Pole by accident. He was taken upon by the Papa Elf to be raised by the elves as well as in Christmas culture. And eventually, though, Buddy travels to New York City to try and find his real father and try and help his father as well, who is on the naughty list. And among the experiences, Buddy meets different characters and different cultural experiences of New York City. And kind of Buddy is the one to help teach everyone to find their Christmas spirits. So this movie was very successful. It was highly regarded by the critics. Roger Ebert actually gave it a huge positive review, saying that it was a good family film with a lot of heart. And it was actually number one at the box office in 2003, followed closely behind The Matrix Revolutions, so the third Matrix movie. And it actually did quite successfully as well. So this actually now that we talk about the legacy, this led to several kind of different projects involving Elf. The first one was a musical that premiered on November 18th in 2010, and it was a Broadway musical with full songs and everything. And it only ran for a short while during the Christmas season, and it hasn't been back since. But to my understanding, reading the reviews, it was quite successful and quite well attended, and it was done well in terms of the critics. The musical then spawned an animated special, which was called Elf Buddy's Musical Christmas Adventure. And it was an hour-long stop-motion animated feature which combined both the musical and the film. And it was almost as like a highlight package of the musical, but still staying true to the original movie. And for note, this had Jim Parson, who is best known as Sheldon on The Big Bang Theory. He played Buddy in the animated feature. And Mark Hamill, Mr. Luke Skywalker, was Walter Hobbs in the animated special. And this aired on December 16th, 2014 on NBC. And the songs obviously were featured in the musical as well. This also spawned a video game on the Game Boy Advance, and it was released on November 4th, 2004. And the player essentially follows the plot of the movie, but the player has to collect candies and sweets in each level, as well as avoiding polar bears and different kind of, I think there's like New York muggers and stuff like that in the game. So yeah, that was released for the Game Boy Advance. And then in terms of a sequel, there's been rumors for years about a sequel happening. Will Ferrell has gone on record that he is adamantly not wanting to do a sequel, saying that he wants to leave it alone. Jon Favreau was saying he maybe would do a sequel if the story was right, but he wasn't really like counting on it either. And then James Caan actually did an interview this year saying that like there's not going to be a sequel because Jon Favreau and Will Ferrell didn't get along. I've heard nothing to that extent, or I haven't read anything to that extent, so I don't know how true that is. But yeah, there was a sequel actually written called Elf 2 Buddy Saves Christmas, and it was being developed, but I think Will Ferrell turned it down saying, well, I'm not doing it. And then if there's no Will Ferrell, there's no point in actually doing it. So yeah, I have a feeling this is going to be a one and done type thing with Elf. Just kind of one of those, it's a great family Christmas movie, and there doesn't need to be 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. So just final thoughts. I think this is a great family Christmas movie. The score is incredible. Like the Buddy theme as he's traveling throughout New York City is really well done. And I think there's great chemistry between Jovi and Will Ferrell as well. And I think this was kind of like a diamond in the rough type thing, because no one kind of really had any sure bets on this movie. Given that Will Ferrell was an unknown, Zooey Deschanel was an unknown, Jon Favreau was definitely an unknown, and all three have gone on to really great things. So I think this is definitely one of those Christmas movies that I watch at least every year, and I just think a lot of families do as well. So I think Will Ferrell is a great Buddy. I just think his kind of innocence and humor is really good to it, really good for the role. And then as well as I think the movie is a throwback to a lot of the Rankin and Bass kind of like Christmas specials, which I think is really cute as well. So there is a documentary actually on Netflix, part of their series of the movies that made us. So they developed a spin-off called The Christmas Movies That Made Us, and they go into Elf and how they made the movie, as well as some different kind of interesting story tidbits. Some of it I covered here in the video. I didn't go into too long because I didn't want the videos to be that long. But definitely one I would check out if you have a chance on Netflix. I think it was really good. So that's going to do it for our Elf Christmas video. I want to wish everyone who watched these videos a very happy holidays. And to let you know that our next video is actually going to be a thank you gift to one of the kind of contributors. I'm sure you've seen her on the Facebook page. But Kate is one of my helpers who helps run the Facebook page, as well as a sounding board for different ideas. So she has chosen the next video, and that was going to be Legally Blonde. So we're going to do a deep dive into the movie Legally Blonde, and that'll be my Christmas present to Kate. So Merry Christmas, Kate, and I hope everyone has a happy holidays. I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.